Barry has got the inside story on him.
Cornelius Carr, the pride of the Northeast, the Middlesbrough-born super middleweight who has battled his way to world title contention. A diligent athlete, Carr is not a household name yet, but adopting the name Cornelius has certainly earned him media attention.
My father died when I was 13, and you know, if he would have been here, he would have been very proud. So, my real name is John, but I took his name on and it stuck. Everybody calls me Cornelius, except when I go back to Middlesbrough, that's all.
Carr grew up in Middlesbrough, but personal problems led to his only professional defeat, and so he moved to London in the St Pancras gym, and I found him sparring with someone special.
Y'all ready for this?
Terry Dunstan, the British cruiserweight champion, is a surprise sparring partner to choose if you're 2 weights lighter. However, Carr was able to hold his own against the bigger man, and Dunstan was not holding back. He beckoned Carr in and peppered him with combinations. But Carr was able to hurt the cruiserweight king with some solid punches, particularly to the body. Dunstan wincing is an ominous sign for Collins, and Carr believes his big friend has been the answer.
He's hard to hit. Even for me, I'm quite a quick super middleweight, and I can't nail him with many shots, as you've seen today. But yeah, he's got a big future ahead of him.
Carr has a big future ahead of him if he can win on Saturday night. He has the power and the speed to give Collins a hard test, and he's been sparring with the best.
Well, when I was out in America, I went sparring with Roy Jones in Reno. And I learned a lot from him, and he was a nice guy as well.
But when he gets in the ring with Collins, the sparring gloves will become very much more real, as Chris Eubank found out.
He's beat Eubank twice, which is a good achievement. He beat Chris Pyatt. So, you know, I know the odds are maybe against me, but I'm going there with plenty of confidence, and I'm going to give it my best shot.
In Dublin, he'll be fighting for the whole of Middlesbrough. The Riverside Stadium has become a shrine to the Brazilian ace, Juninho, and Carr wants to become the other star.
Brilliant for the area up there. I'm sure that, you know, people who can't afford to go will be supporting me up there, and you know, we bring the belt back, I'll be straight up to Middlesbrough to show it off to everyone.
The dream can turn into reality if Carr can keep out of the way of Collins' relentless pressure. He's been working on his mobility and timing. Carr is a dangerous prospect, and this quiet, religious man is praying that the English underdog can dethrone the Celtic warrior.
Here's how the bookmakers make it tonight. Collins is a massive odds-on favourite on home territory, 6-1 on. Cornelius Carr, 7-2 outsider, and the draw, 33-1. Barry's had a little look through the archives and picked out a couple of pieces of Carr in action to demonstrate his strengths.
Yes, indeed, he's a pretty conventional attacking fighter, but has got a good overarm right, and his left hook is particularly good. A little bit of Americanism about his attacking, and lifts his elbow high. This is Frank Eubank, and in 91, that left hook you can see there, picks it out pretty well, looks for the spot, pulls out and gives himself room, and again finds that left hook again, and we see him here against Chris Richards. Again, the left uppercut, and again looking for the spot and picking his punches very carefully. Good accuracy, and as I say, the right hand over the top and the left hook are his two best weapons. But he's fighting a big man that's on a roll, and he's up against it. You know?
How much sympathy, Neville, for Carr here tonight? He wasn't expected to get the opportunity. How difficult does that make it for him?
I think he's going to go for it. I think the fact that it's a world title, I remember that's a dream. We've all had the same dream from childhood. This is his chance. He's not gonna fall over. He's gonna go over there. He's gonna give it his 110%, and I believe, yeah, we're gonna win for an exciting fight tonight.
All right, Steve Collins starting a big odds-on favourite. It would be a huge upset and a big spoke in the plans of Steve Collins should he lose this WBO World Super Middleweight title tonight. So many big options, including Nigel Benn in the new year, but he's got to take care of business first against Cornelius Carr. The action comes live next. The Point Depot in Dublin. The WBO World Super Middleweight title defence by Steve Collins. Established world champion Collins, unbeaten in 3 years, 9 winning fights in a row at the top in world boxing. Tonight's his 6th world title fight against a man, Cornelius Carr from Middlesbrough, in his first world title appearance. Can he possibly upset the form book, or will Collins do what he wants to do tonight to set up big money fights in the new year, very possibly against Nigel Benn, by winning here tonight? Big crowd has been filling up. We had a look at some of the up-and-coming Irish professional stars earlier in the evening, but the main bulk of the crowd is in now to see the main event. But on the way in, we had a word with a couple of the fight fans tonight.
Collins is going to win this fight. Yeah, he's the best. He's the champion.
He works for the 12 rounds. He's got to win here tonight, and Nigel Benn, watch out.
I'd say he beat Ben, but he might have a problem with Roy Jones, but I reckon Collins is the best Irish boxer I've ever seen.
Real night for the Irish.
A drop of the hard stuff, that's what we'll have. A drop of the hard stuff.
It just overwhelmed with sheer power.
Sheer power, yeah.
Sheer power is
I
good,
reckon
right?
so. He's very strong, isn't
And
he?
aggression
Very
and
strong,
strength
yeah.
and just overall commitment to the game.
Yeah.
He's been in the game for a long
and then
time.
the money
And the
comes
money
into-
would
yeah.
help, definitely.
Yeah.
Steve Collins. Steve Collins. Steve Collins. Steve Collins. Steve Collins, how are you, Matt?
Well, they're all experts here, aren't they? A couple more experts in the studio. Final predictions. First from Neville Brown, the British middleweight champion, is with us tonight. How do you see it going?
I'm seeing a bit of a chess match start off with, but I expect a fast start from Cornelius. Sharp, good moving, fast feet. Probably keeping ahead, keeping out of trouble because of the sheer weight factor. But I think I got to go with the bigger guy. I think on strength, I think if there's no cuts, God forbid, that I think my man Steve will go all the way and grind him down steadily. Maybe a stoppage, maybe round 8, round 9.
Barry McGuigan.
I think you'll find that Collins will be much more sedate this time, but he'll grind Cornelius down 8 to 10 rounds.
Shaken, not stirred. 007's in. Hope very much you're going to settle in and enjoy it with us. Commentary tonight coming from Glenn McCrory and Ian Dark, after we've heard from our Master of Ceremonies, Mike Goodall.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event of the evening. Will you first please welcome to the arena the challenger tonight for the title, Cornelius Carr.
Cornelius Carr bidding tonight to become only the second world boxing champion from the northeast of England. The other sitting alongside me is Glenn McCrory. He's from Middlesbrough. The football team with Juninho beat Liverpool today. Will Cornelius Carr add to that town's burgeoning sporting reputation here in Dublin tonight?
Piers Brosnan in the audience here, and he's coming into the music of the new Bond movie GoldenEye.
First taste of this really big-time atmosphere for Cornelius Carr. He did win the British Super Middleweight Championship, but quite quickly gave that up to move down to middleweight. Now he moves up again to meet the world-class Steve Collins. It's a big step. Is he really good enough for it? We'll soon find out. But he's respected and he's competent, and if Collins does slip or is for some reason not properly motivated for the job, this fellow just might be good enough to take advantage.
Yes, he does have good boxing skills, shown them on numerous occasions.
How does he look to you? Because I know you were thinking, talking to him on the phone earlier today, that he was a bit apprehensive.
Yes, well, it's very difficult to tell in this sort of fight. He's got a lot against him. He's really coming in the lion's den here. Really, he's got to get inside himself. He's got to block all of that out. He's just got to concentrate on the job. He hasn't got to be overawed by Collins, overawed by the crowd. He's got to stick to what he's got to do and go for that.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the WBO Super Middleweight Champion of the World, Dublin's Steve Collins!
Great reception for Collins, even before he appears. Colours of the Irish flag behind him. The Celtic warrior, and what a year this has been for him. The big breakthrough year in the life of Steve Collins. Get himself hyped up. This man who plays the mind games to perfection.
Yes, and we must remember he got his chance in similar circumstances, and he took a hold of that chance.
Yes, will Carr do the same? Chieftain's music, Celtic Warrior, which was specially composed for this Irish boxing hero. And Collins, as usual, muttering to himself on his way to the ring, and it's usually something like, I'm gonna win, I'm gonna win.
Interesting to see Cornelius Carr took a leaf out of Collins' boot, and he's wearing headphones in the ring.
Refusing. Look at that with his headphones on, trying to block Collins out. He's seen Collins in this mood before, no wonder it's been on television. Tony Gwynn, the hypnotist, there again with Steve Collins, but I can tell you something, Carr has been having hypnotism of his own. The plot thickens. Steve Collins, 5 years older at 31. First big chance for Carr. Collins, the taller man, both just inside the 12-stone limit, though Collins was half a pound over at the first time of asking. Could be significant. Reach advantage for Collins. Collins has lost only 3 of those 33, and all at world level as well. Much more experience, that's what those statistics tell you, though Carr, with a higher knockout percentage, though, it has to be said, he's been fighting at almost exclusively domestic level. Now look at Cornelius Carr, he's got the headphones on here, Glenn. He's shutting everything Collins is going to try right out.
That's what he's got to try and do. He's got to motivate himself, really psych himself up, and it looks like he's doing a good job in this part.
So we're all set to go now.
Ladies and gentlemen, our main event is conducted and sanctioned under the rules of the World Boxing Organization. The supervisor at ringside, Mr. John Montana of Arizona. The judges at ringside, Mr. Nelson Vasquez of Puerto Rico, Mr. Michael Pernick of Illinois, USA, and Mr. Cesar Ramos of Puerto Rico. The referee in charge of the action this evening, officiating in his 65th World Title contest, Mr. Ismael Huizo Fernandez of Puerto Rico. The officials from the Boxing Union of Ireland, the President, Mr. Mel Crystal, and Mr. Nicholas Moore. The timekeeper from Belfast, Mr. Dale Elliott. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, from the Point Dublin, live and exclusive on Europe's prime sports channel, Sky Sports, and Big Time Boxing, it's big fight time. promoted by Frank Warren for Sports Network in association with our sponsors, Beamish, the genuine Irish stout. Introducing the boxers, firstly in the red corner, and coming from Middlesbrough, wearing the black trunks from 27 professional contests. He has 26 wins, 15 by way of KO with 1 loss. He weighed in at 11 stone, 13 3/4 pounds. He's the former undefeated British Super Middleweight champion and challenger for the title, Cornelius Carr. And across the ring, ladies and gentlemen, in the blue corner, wearing the tartan trunks and coming from Dublin, from 33 professional contests, he has 30 wins, 16 by way of KO with 3 losses. He's the former undefeated middleweight and the current super middleweight champion of the world, the Celtic Warrior, Steve Collins. Will now give instructions to both boxers for the WBO Super Middleweight Championship of the World over 12 3-minute rounds.
More verbals going on between the fighters. This is all really part of the show now. With any Steve Collins fight, there's so much mental agility going on. It's almost like being at a Uri Geller gig or something.
Yes, he really takes the psychology to the extremes. He wants to really try and psych his opponent out of it.
But it's worked for him, hasn't it?
It has, certainly in his last 2 fights, worked very well indeed.
Great year for Collins. 2 wins over Eubank has projected him right up there now towards the top. More big fights, maybe against Nigel Benn on the way. Vinny Pazienza has been mentioned as well. Irish shamrock, shaved into his hair, and he's still talking to Carr. Steve Collins has never been stopped in 33 fights. He can adapt his styles. He's usually very strong at the weight. He says he won't let Carr settle into any kind of rhythm. And he almost looks like he's in the starting blocks, Linford Christie style over there, doesn't he, Steve Collins? How will Carr react to this big atmosphere at the Point in Dublin, where David Bowie played last night? Collins rushes out to try to take the fight to him right at the start, as he did in the second fight with Eubank. Collins in the tartan trunks. With a left hand as well. Collins, I think, felt one went low there. The right hand of Carr.
Collins did a similar thing in the last Eubank fight where he really charged out. He's got to be careful because when he does this, he leaves his guard right down, his chin hanging wide out.
His career, Collins has had so many delays, frustrations, injury, illness, had to wait so long to get where he is now that you get the feeling he isn't going to throw that away in a hurry. He wants to stay right up there. He's enjoying it, the limelight, and of course the money. One report I saw said he'd earned £1.7 million over the last year or so. I'm not quite sure whether that's accurate, but he's certainly broken into the big league and he's deserved to. Massive test this for Carr. Who, from the reports we've heard, is really more comfortable down at middleweight, but of course he's been presented with this opportunity up at super middleweight, and yes, of course he had to take it for easily the biggest payday of his career. Good right hand from Collins.
This Collins reaching and really going for that long right hand, a little bit out of distance.
Steve-O ringing around. The arena seems just about full.
This moment, Collins is very tight. He's not really getting his punches going, not really getting any rhythm. Just reaching forward, trying to get the right hand on.
Carr is competent and a fair technician, but has he got anything to beat Collins with? Collins doing most of the work in this first round. His jabs worked reasonably well for him.
Yes, he's managed to get the right hand on a couple of times. Cornelius Carr just looking for the counter punches.
Just winked at his corner then, Carr, as if to say, yes, I'm okay. Just looked a bit cold in the opening round, Carr really. Didn't do too much, and it was Collins who certainly took that first round. Steve Collins in a world title defence in front of his home fans. The first time he's appeared in his home city of Dublin since 1991. They're calling it the big homecoming. Freddie Roach, his trainer there in the corner with him. He does his preparation in Los Angeles, Collins. Round two. Collins also claiming before this fight that he's hitting harder now. I don't know whether that's just part of the hype. I wouldn't think he'd changed too much at 31 in that department.
Again in this round, he's trying to bull Cornelius Carr, trying to intimidate him a bit. But in the first round, Carr just kept his boxing together quite well and just seemed nice and relaxed.
Oh, and he bundles him out of the ring there. I don't think that was a knockdown. He was just barged through. There was no punch. There should be no count, and on goes the action. He was just bundled out by the on-rushing Collins, but he can produce tremendous intensity. He really does get himself very, very fired up.
But with Collins rushing in like this, it's all getting a bit messy. Collins needs to concentrate on his boxing a little more. He's just rushing in, trying to use his strength.
Carr's not noted as a big puncher, and he's never been in with the likes of Mike McCallum, Reggie Johnson, Sambu Kalambe, Chris Eubank, Tony Thornton, Kevin Watts, all names on the Collins repertoire. This man has been mixing at world class, proving himself at world class throughout his career, Collins. Carr has to prove he's in that kind of league. Good body shots from Carr.
Move that head. Good shot.
Good right hand. Carr got through with that one.
Yes, they were the best punches from Carr. Nice, snappy little counter punches.
You do feel that if Carr is going to win this, he's going to have to do it on points against this durable champion.
And still just trying to use his strength, bull forward, solid punches.
He does keep up this very high work rate though, Collins, which is why he kept on taking the rounds against Eubank. He was caught again by the right though there of Carr, who's beginning to have his successes.
Yes, the defense is a little bit leaky from Collins. He's just rushing forward, hands down.
It's a little bit messy, and Wiso Fernandez, the Puerto Rican referee, wanting a little word with him. Not the natural super middleweight. Collins is, and is very busy so far. Ian Dark with Glenn McCrory at ringside for you. There is Cornelius Carr. How do you think he's doing so far, Glenn?
Well,
you know him well.
Yes, he's keeping quite cool. He landed with a couple of decent punches. You just see them there. They were the best punches that Carr has landed with. So he's got to He's got to be cool, but he's got to pick up the pace a little. He's just waiting too much. And at the moment, Collins is just hustling them out of this.
Carr's best win so far when he won the British Super Middleweight title against James Cook. Collins trying to work behind his jab and then charging in. Glenn thinks that Collins has won both of the first 2 rounds, though he was wavering a bit over that second one, weren't you?
Yes, a little bit. There's a nice combination from Carr, but Collins is just doing a little bit more.
Good jab by Carr. Just has to try to match Collins' work rate, really. He mustn't, from his point of view, let Collins hustle him out of the rounds.
That's right, and that's really what's happening at the present. Collins isn't getting through with so many good shots. None of the work is really clean, but he's doing more.
Chance of Steve-O. 2 good headshots there from Carr, who may still be adapting to the atmosphere. His first big step onto the grand stage. He's been around Carr. He once had 2 exhibition fights in Louisiana State Penitentiary.
Yes, and I shouldn't think there's many more intimidating places than that.
And there's a problem for Carr. There's blood around the bridge of the nose and just to the side of the right eye. Blood flowing down from that. It doesn't look too bad, but it could start to flow into the eye and begin to obscure the vision. So it's a nasty place in a way if it gets worse.
Yes, he didn't really need that this early in the fight.
Because it was Collins who cut against Eubank last time, but Ernie Fossey did such a great job on it. He was cut from the 7th round on, but it didn't stop him going to a big win. Goodness knows how one of the judges actually gave the fight to Eubank, that second one.
Still it's just intense pressure from Collins, and he's just landing a bit more. Carr looking to duck out of the way.
Collins trying to wear Carr down, make his strength tell. Sometimes not too pretty to watch. There's a relentlessness these days about Collins. So he's caught on the counter there, but he just is prepared to walk through and bundle his way in. Now then, cut damage for Cornelius Carr, whose real name, by the way, is John Carr. He calls himself Cornelius in the ring after his late father.
And you see the picture seems to be over the middle of the forehead there.
Is this how the cut happened, Glenn? Let's have a look. It looks as if it might well have been.
Too much encouragement.
And I
Yes, it looks as if it was.
There's a trace of blood, I think. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I think
just
it was
as they
there.
came out of the clinch.
And our boys and girls in the truck outside doing a great job identifying that for you. It was a clash of heads.
Seconds out. Line 4.
4th round.
Well, the round's going much the same with the forceful work of Collins taking the rounds. He's just doing more, trying to impose his strength and his will on Carr. Carr really, he's got to try and pick it up now in this round.
Collins starting here as a 6-1 on favourite with the local bookmakers. Carr at 7-2 against. Oh, good right hand from Carr that. And Collins' defence just looking a little bit open, not for the first time. But this man really does take a punch well, doesn't he, Collins?
Yes, he is physically strong, good sound chin. I'd like to see him use his jab more, Collins. His boxing getting very ragged, just marching forward.
Carr trained for this fight by Howard Rainey down at the St. Pancras gym, and part of his training has been down at the Belgrave Harriers track where John Regis does his work. I think he's been running miles, pulling a man around on an elasticated cord. So they tell me anyway. To build up the strength.
Carr's landing the odd counter, but Collins just rolling all over him. Carr can't really get set for any decent punches. Collins is pushing Carr constantly off balance.
Carr's got to get that jab working, really, isn't he, to keep him off balance and stop him charging in like this.
Yes, he's really got to start putting combinations together. One punch, one jab is not enough to keep Collins back. You see, he just marches forward.
He's prepared to walk through it. And you can see what the Collins plan is, can't you? To erode his man away. Gets him with 2 headshots there, and Carr wanted to hold on for a moment. Collins dominating at the moment, doubling up the jab and the right hand. Carr's doing okay, but he really can't get what you'd call a proper foothold in this fight. Not for me, anyway.
No, he really needs to try and get his punches going from both hands. He's relying on the left hand almost solely. Got to use the right, use the left hook behind it. He needs to get clusters of punches. Collins just rolling on top of him. Left, rights, left, rights.
Collins is round again, I think, and he's beginning to pull away. Well for Steve Collins so far against this man Cornelius Carr from Middlesbrough.
He has had some success, Carr. Just there, you see, right hand, another good punch, but again, all too infrequent. He's got to build his punches up.
Second time. Round 5.
5th round, and the strategy that Collins and his camp have devised is working well enough so far. Carr has to find some more devil, up the tempo, up his level of aggression. There have been periods of inactivity in his career, Carr, where people have wondered about his real commitment to the sport. Well, he's going to have to dig very, very deep if he wants to lift the big prize here.
That's how I say it. I've got Collins winning every round, just really by his sheer work rate, just trying to push and bull Carr around the ring.
Left hand from Carr. Can be quite a smart boxer. He showed that when he beat Henry Wharton. He's one of our top super middleweights now. In the amateur days, he reached the 1987 ABA middleweight final with Carr. He was only 18 at the time. He's got the talent. A lot of people were talking about him as a teenager. It hasn't quite happened for him as a pro. It could happen for him in a big way tonight if he was to get it right. But at the moment, Collins is doing his job in his normal, very intense and fiercely proud way.
As you see, just earlier, Collins landed, he come out of the clinch. Sorry, Carr, come out of the clinch, landed a good left hook, but then didn't do anything else. And Collins comes straight back with the jab, the right hand, and just bullying Carr around the ring.
Good body shot from Carr. Just a bit ragged at times, Collins' work. shot that was from Cornelius Carr. He might draw some encouragement from that. The corner were pleased. Carr glances at them.
Yes, he's had a better round so far. He's just landed with a few more punches. And I think Collins just starting to tire a little bit, and his work just getting a little bit untidy.
His jabs are just falling short a bit as well, Collins. And that right hand there is a little bit laboured. So might there be the hint of a turning point for Cornelius Carr in this round? It's his best round so far, and he needed something. Yeah, I think Carr might have just nicked that one. Do you, Glenn?
Yes, I think he did enough in that round. He landed with the cleaner shots. Collins just couldn't land with anything, really. He pushed and threw a few punches, but then kept missing.
Let's see what Barry McGuigan is making of things.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear what you had to say there. I think that is Carr's best round. He's won that round. In fact, the second was reasonably close, but definitely won that round. And I think he's getting much better. He's boxing a little bit more. Collins is looking a little bit ragged, but Collins is well on top here. Very strong, and just applying slow pressure and winging those punches. Eventually he's going to nail Carr. So Carr's got to try and keep the fight at long range and use more boxing ability and throw slightly more punches.
Thanks, Barry. There he is, Steve Collins, who used to be an electrician for Guinness. And his dad, who died when Steve was just 17, used to be a truck driver. Wasn't a bad boxer himself. And one of his uncles was an Irish middleweight champion. Another, Terry Collins, in his amateur career, beat Reggie Cray. So boxing runs in the Collins family. Couldn't you just tell by the way this man applies himself to his work?
And hopefully Carr will get a little bit of confidence after the last round and start to pick his work rate up a bit. Collins' work is just beginning to get a bit untidy. And this is a good point for Carr just to start to pick his work rate up and try and take over.
This is a bad patch for Collins. He's missing a lot now. Now, can Carr use that and build on it? Just thinking back to the weigh-in when Collins was half a pound over first time. Now, what do we read into that, Glenn, do you think?
It's always very difficult to read anything in with Steve Collins, because he often, does all sorts of different things just to try and throw his opponent off. You don't know. It's very difficult. I'm not really sure. Was he over the weight? Did he just do it to try and give Carr a little bit more confidence? I'm not sure.
I only ask that because he just seems to have tired a little bit in the last couple of rounds.
He has. The last couple of rounds, his work is untidy. Carr's getting off better. His counters are starting to land.
And it is a sign, if a fighter has had problems making the weight, that they do tend to tire much quicker in a fight. And sometimes there's just nothing there at all. It certainly hasn't been the case with Collins. He won the first 4 rounds, we think, anyway. But he's finding it hard to find the target at all at the moment, Collins. And he's gone right off the boil, really.
He has really, but Carr hasn't seized the opportunity yet. Nice body punch just sunk in there under the right arm.
Well, he's hit nothing but thin air, really, for about 1.5 rounds, Collins. The jab got home. Missing a lot, but Collins, Carr rather, just breathing a little heavier himself, I've noticed now too. So that pressure that Collins put on in the first 4 rounds, that must have taken something away from him too.
As Collins has just took a step back, just standing, trying to look for punches a little more now, rather than lunging in.
Oh, look at this from Carr. He's beginning to come on a bit here in this fight. This is getting quite interesting here. This fight at the moment shows signs that it might be starting to even up a bit. Welcome back to the Point in Dublin. Cornelius Carr, he just looks a little bit a bit of reddening underneath the left eye for him.
Yes, but better work in that round. Again, I give that round to Carr. You see some of the good work there. He's been relaxed in all the rounds, and now he's starting to get his punches off. Collins has been very tight, very penned up, and I think that's starting to make him tire. He really needs just to stand back and start getting his boxing going.
Round at 7 into the second half of the fight. Glenn believes that Carr's won the last 2 rounds. Collins needing to maybe just re-establish himself a bit in this one. And the crowd have gone noticeably quieter, as if they're becoming just a wee bit anxious about him. I think Nigel Benn's getting a bit pensive as well, because he can see a big payday in 1996 disappearing if Collins messes this up. Good right hand there, rather walked onto it, Carr.
But he's definitely picked his work rate up, Carr, doing a little bit more.
Grueling sort of contest, strength-sapping affair. It's been a great year for Collins, but it must have been a hard year for him as well, too, having to get through those 2 mountainous fights he had with Eubank, and then now trying to lift himself for this one, which had the makings on paper of just being a routine defence for him, but might it prove to be something rather more challenging than that?
Well, he's not pushing Carr around the ring as much as he was in the early rounds, but he still managed to land a few shots in this round.
Better round this one for Collins. He's finding his target again now a bit more.
Yes, he's just relaxed a little bit. He's not rushing in. I don't think he's taking as much out of himself, and he's just looking to try and pick with better punches.
Oh, that's a good cluster of punches though from Carr, eye-catching. It's almost as if he switches on when the clock says 30 seconds left in the round, as the pros tend to do. It was almost at exactly the same point as he did that in the last round. Crowd at the point here, trying to lift Collins with chants of Steve-O, Steve-O. It's no classic, but it's absorbing.
Collins did a little bit more. There was a good spell where Cornelius Carr got a nice combination up. I don't think it was enough to win the round. Collins just stood back a little bit more, used the jab, and Collins just got a few more punches in, I think enough to win the round.
Now here's this eye-catching flurry from Carr coming up in a minute.
Yes, he left it late in the round, but he managed to get a couple of punches in there, and it looked good to the crowd.
But he's not really a concussive hitter, is he?
No, he could do with a little more power, and Collins might have been in a bit more trouble there.
Come on now with a gum shield.
Just 1 defeat in 27 fights. That was when he was stopped in 3 rounds by the unknown African George Boko 6.5 years ago. Here we go, we're round 8.
Well, Collins come running out of his corner there. He just walked onto a little sneak left hook from Carr.
This might get really interesting, you feel, if Collins continued to look a little bit ragged and Carr stepped up his work rate even more.
Yes, you wonder if the tactics of Carr are to leave it late and then, because he hasn't done a great deal in the early rounds. But he's gradually just picking up his work with more and more.
Collins at times looks as if he's quite prepared to just walk through the jab to try and get in with his own shots. I think he feels that being the natural super middleweight here, he is the stronger man and could wear Carr down late on.
Yes, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to use his physical strength rather than his boxing ability.
Too much in this round at the moment, is there, Glenn?
No, it's again closer. I think Collins still just doing a little bit more. The shouting in the Carr corner, you're being lazy, lift it up, come on. So we feel he can do a bit more. Clubbing left, right there from Collins.
It's a problem for any fighter facing Steve Collins to match his level of desire. He always wants it so very badly. Oh, good left hand from Carr. One of his best punches of the contest. And again, left hook as they worked in close from Carr, who got in a right for good measure. Carr stepping it up a little bit towards the end of the round. Did he do enough to nick the round? Well, it did look in those first 4 rounds as if Collins was going to skate away with things, but it's proving a much, much harder job now.
Yes, I thought it would be a difficult task. He has got good boxing ability, Carr. He's keeping nice and relaxed. He's just looking for the little counters, and he's starting to get through some decent shots. See, good left hand there. Just rocked Collins a little bit, just put him off balance. You see, he's waiting nice, Carr. Nice relaxed punches. A nice little spell there. Up to that point, Collins was doing the best, and then Carr came at the end of the round, as he is doing, just to try and catch the judge's eyes. But I think it was pretty much an even round.
Nigel Benn there on the right, the WBC Super Middleweight champion. Frank Warren, the promoter, who hopes to get Collins and Benn together. If Collins can win that, we've also got Piers Brosnan, the new 007 at ringside. Then had the last round even. He has Collins leading by 3 points. 9th round. Collins may, I think, have a cut by the left eye. And he had that in the last fight. It's underneath by the look of it, a little nick.
Yes, I think there's some damage above the eye as well for Collins. Certainly blood there.
Caught with the left hook counter. Collins on the way in. Oh, and the right uppercut was a great shot too from Carr, who's beginning to display his boxing skills here.
Yes, as Collins is tiring, the skills are becoming more apparent of Carr. Solid left hand there from Collins.
Collins still trying to brawl away, but the sharper, more authoritative punches look to be coming from Carr in this round.
Good left hook, he landed in close there. He's just the sharper at this point, Carr.
Stumbled against the ropes, Collins. He is a man who's been in a lot of hard fights down the years. And a great right over the top from Carr as well. He's beginning to select his shots rather impressively.
Yes, he's picking them well, and a tired-looking Collins is walking onto them, walked onto the right hand again and the left.
He looks a little bit unsteady on his feet at the moment, does Steve Collins. He's rather stumbling around the ring rather than moving. And if he's not careful here, there could be big trouble ahead for Steve Collins, possibly.
Yes, it's getting hard for Collins, and this is a good round for Carr.
Two Puerto Rican judges, one American scoring this. I would think the American judge might like the walk-forward pressure type of fighting of Collins more than the counter-punching of Carr. They tend to, but it'll be interesting to see how this is being scored. I think it's getting quite close, this now.
Yes, I think it is. Certainly in these later rounds, it's been good work from Carr.
I'm just looking at my scorecard. I've got the fight level now.
I've still got Collins ahead.
So let's get let's get a third opinion. What about Barry McGuigan? How are you seeing it, Barry?
I have Collins one round up, but tiring badly and finding it difficult to close the gap between him and Carr. Carr's using his boxing ability much better. His punches from a distance are much better than, and much sharper and snappier than Collins. And when Collins falls forward, let's have a look at this left hook from Carr as Collins falls in here. A really sharp little left hook. Right, pulls the uppercut in, and that left hook was really a very sharp, quick punch and hurt and shook Collins. So Collins' corner's got to be worried at this stage. This is, one round in it. Darky has it even, and Ian has it just by 2 rounds, so it's a very close fight.
Thank you, Barry. Here's round 10. 9 minutes remaining. Collins looks tired, but he's the kind who could go back to the well and maybe turn it round again. He's that kind of fighter, Steve Collins.
Yes, he's a very gutsy, very determined fighter. But he's going to need that now. He's going to need to push forward. And I've got Collins just a couple of points ahead.
Now, Carr wanted the fight stopped because a bandage had come loose on the gloves of Collins, but the referee's let it go on, which is a bit strange. And that seems to have just spurred Carr on into that little flurry. I think he's a bit angry about that. He's worried about the bandage flicking into his eye, quite rightly too. I don't know why the referee didn't do that in the first place. It's peculiar, really, because Carr pointed out to him, there we are, they've done it now. But it is dangerous, because if that flicks into your eye at speed...
That's right, he was right to do that. It can cause an injury, and that's the last thing he needs.
Collins might be pleased with the extra respite, but he's looking to pick it up, re-establish himself. Who wants this most? 3 rounds out. Cornelius Carr will never ever forgive himself if he doesn't produce the best 9 minutes of his career here now, with it all on the line for him.
Collins really pulling it out now, trying to push forward. He's obviously very tired, but he still goes forward, trying to land with them shots. But often his work's untidy.
Never underestimate, though, the tremendous willpower of Collins. Decent jab from Carr. And a decent first few seconds of the round for Collins. Can he keep it up, though? Because he's looked tired, really, or beginning to tire anyway, from about the 5th round on.
Yes, he was trying very hard. He was very tight, really reaching with punches in the early rounds. I think that's took its toll on Collins. A little bit tired, but now he's standing upright and looking for his punches more.
body shots from Collins. Great effort from him in this round so far. Super counter from Carr. You can see why he reached an ABA final, can't you?
Yes, good boxing skills, very cool under pressure. Always looking just to whip the little counter in as Collins misses. But a better round for Collins, this one.
Yes, an ABA final and the 10th round of a trench warfare world title fight like this are planets apart. Carr's corner trying to lift him, but that was Collins' round. He came back well, I thought, anyway.
Yes, he did more. He was more forceful. He really needed it. You saw him when he got off his stool, really rushed across the ring again. He was trying to psych himself up, push forward all the time, and he just took the game away from Carr there.
Steve Collins' family are there. He's got his wife Gemma. They have 3 children. And they're building their dream home somewhere in the Dublin area with the money that Steve's made late in his career. And my goodness me, how he's had to work for it. This is only his 6th fight, by the way, in Ireland. A lot of his career based in the United States. And he used to be in the same gym as marvellous Marvin Hagler with the Petronellis in Boston until there was a rather acrimonious split between them. So some education that for him.
Yes, and he's having to need it all in this fight. He's having to work very hard here.
Last 2 rounds. This is the 11th. Collins started the fight strong. He's looking to finish it strong. Carr looked to have the best of the middle rounds. Has Steve Collins saved something for the finishing stroke? Bellowing at him from ringside is his mind mentor, put it that way, Tony Quinn, who's been getting so much publicity. Good right hand from Collins. That cracked through, and I think it hurt Carr.
Yes, he's really had to take the play away from Carr in these later rounds because Carr was just starting to find his rhythm, find some nice counters. And this is good from Collins now.
I'm sure Collins, when he went back to his corner at the end of the night, could start to see it disappearing, but listen to the crowd lifting him now as he gets through with a left hook.
Carr tried to go with him there in the combination, but Collins came out of it the better.
Calls himself the Celtic Warrior, and he is a warrior, Collins. That was just a slip. No knockdown. No count. Round 11. Carr looks to his corner. But it's a job he must do himself now. And frankly, in these last couple of rounds, it just looks, I asked the question, who wants it the most? It looks, and it has looked as if Collins does.
Yes, Carr landed with a wonderful right hand just as Collins came in, but again, this big-hearted Irishman just comes storming back.
They used to have Collins down really as best as a counter-puncher, but really now he's a walk-forward brawler. That's what he is here tonight, and he was against Eubank, particularly in the second fight. And you can't blame him. They're the tactics that have won him the big prizes. Gets through again, 2 head punches. Carr beginning to tire, you feel, late on. Last half minute now of round 11. It's another good round for Steve Collins, the champion.
Carr again tries to fight back at the end of the round, but Collins just got into his rhythm now, landing more and more.
Carr's trying to take the eye of the judges with a spurt in the last half minute, but these are 3-minute rounds. And that was another one for Collins, who's pulled away again and looks within sight of retaining his title.
He looks very tired in the corner there. He's worked very hard. Carr was just starting to get a little foothold, just starting to find some rhythm. Ran with some nice counters, and Collins has come storming back. And he had to do that. He had to find something extra, and he's managed to dig it deep from within him.
Tremendous willpower yet again from Steve Collins.
Yes, you see Carr come back with a couple of nice counters at the beginning there, where you see Collins come steaming back. He just won't let Carr get into the fight. Solid, determined performance from Collins.
Corners, 10 seconds.
Collins, who's been boxing since he went to the gym in Gardner Street as a little boy of 8. He's 31 now. He's been doing it all his life. There are 3 minutes left. On my card, I now have him 2 rounds ahead. What about you, Glenn?
I've got him in a bigger lead. I think it's about 4 rounds. Yes, 4 rounds ahead. I have him. Just pulled away again in the last 2 rounds. The Carr corner, shouting corner, you've got nothing to lose.
Extraordinary intensity again from the man they call the Celtic Warrior, Steve Collins. In only his 2nd fight in his hometown of Dublin. Can Carr find something late on?
Can't take anything away from Carr. He's risen to the occasion. He's boxed well. But he's in with a very determined champion.
You should just feel too late on here that Collins' experience of this type of thing has been pretty vital too. He's been there before, he knows what's needed in a tight finish, and it did look as if it was getting to be a tight finish a couple of rounds ago.
That's right, he knows just when to pick it up, just when it's going to attract the judges' eyes, and he's done that. And just when it's going to take too much out of the spirit of Carr.
Marvellous sporting theatre again, another thunderous Steve Collins fight night in Ireland. Collins, does he have to withstand one last rally? They're bellowing to Cornelius Carr from the corner to give it one last shot, to go for broke, to gamble.
But out of the flurry, Collins comes back with a good right hand.
It looks like it's going to the judges. We're inside the last minute. The 2 Puerto Ricans, one of them sitting about 2 feet from me, and an American scoring this. Good stuff from Carr. But is it too late for him?
Yes, this has been a good finish from Carr.
Collins looked close to running on empty around the 9th round, but how he's picked it up. Carr's giving it everything. He's given a good account of himself tonight, Cornelius Carr, the man from Middlesbrough. And there goes the final bell. The 3 judges will decide, but I think Steve Collins has retained his title. What about you, Glenn?
Yes, I think he's retained his title. It was a very gutsy performance from Collins. Carr just in the middle round just started to come back into it. He boxed very well, really lifted his game. It was a good performance from Carr. I think his fans can be proud of him. But I think the answer was who wanted it more. And the answer was the champion. Collins wanted it more.
Gemma's there. She's glad he's got through another 12 rounds. It must be agony for the families of the fighters. And Steve, I know, hates being away from his family, his wife and his children for so long to prepare, but that is something he has to do. How many more times he has to do it, we shall wait and see. There they are, collating the scorecards. John Montana, the WBO supervisor, will check them over, and then we shall have it announced. Now, my scorecard, for what it's worth, reads 116 Collins, 113 Carr. How about you? Well, we'll see, Glenn. Here it is.
Because I have him on a 117, 113. Cornelius Carr just came over and asked me, what do you think? I said Collins, and he nodded. I think he thinks he hasn't won it, but a tremendous effort.
There were times there where Carr looked as if it was within his grasp to maybe score a real upset, but he's giving the impression, he just shrugged his shoulders. I don't think he thinks he's got it. We'll find out now. We can join Mike Goodall, and he's got the decision. Any second now. Well, his microphone doesn't seem to be working at the moment. Just to add to the drama, he needs another microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Cesar Ramos scores the contest 116-112. Judge Nelson Vasquez scores the contest 116-112. Judge Michael Pernick scores the contest 117-111. All three in favour of the winner, and still
Collins retains the title.
Super Middleweight Champion of the world, Steve Collins.
Gaelic occasion. He's still the champion to complete a marvellous year. The judges scoring it by 4 rounds, 4 rounds and 6 rounds to Collins. He dominated it early and he dominated it late. Brave effort from Carr, not enough. Now, are we going to see Steve Collins against Nigel Benn? I reckon yes.
Yes, you've got to wonder about the tactics that Collins will adopt in the fight with Benn, because now he's a very aggressive fighter. Is he going to fight aggressively like that with Benn? What a fight it'll be if that comes off.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'd like to show your appreciation for a very, very fine loser indeed for the fantastic contest. Please, your appreciations for Cornelius Carr.
And Carr getting a marvellous reception here. He was blowing kisses to the crowd. And I wonder whether this might unleash him into a new era of his career. It ought to, because he did very well there as an underdog. And maybe he feels now he can achieve real things in the professional game. Collins had to wait a long time. Things have come late for him in his career. Maybe Carr can do something similar. Collins knows what it feels like to lose a world title fight. His mum and his wife there. It's the family Collins, and they can smile and they can look forward to a good Christmas. In just a moment we shall try to grab a word with Steve Collins. The last time I tried to do that, he planted a great big smacker on my cheeks. I wonder if Gary Norman's going to risk it this time. Now then, we're going to speak to both fighters. Well, we're just waiting for Gary Norman to get in position with Steve Collins up there. Now then, I think we can join Gary with the champion.
Well, Stevie, it was rough and rugged at times, but you're a man who just will not be denied, are you?
Yeah, bit of an anticlimax. But my last 3 fights were against world champions. Chris Pyatt, 2 against Chris Eubank, you know. And I was really up for him, and there was a lot of pressure on me. Tonight it was very hard to get up for this fight. Cornelius is a good fighter, but he's not in the class of guys I've been fighting for the last 6-7 years. It was very hard for him to get up for this fight. Had to work hard, and it showed. I mean, I always fight better against a better opposition. Tonight I was a little lackadaisy, but I still done what I had to do. I still dug down deep and I still won. But I need the challenge. I need the Bens, I need the Joneses, I need the Frankie Lyles out there to really bring the best out of me, you know.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's give credit to Carr, because he was a big underdog, but he performed very well.
He performed better than I expected. Cornelius has a lot more heart than I thought, and he's physically stronger than I thought. The guy says, you know, he only barely makes super middleweight division. He could be middleweight. Well, he's a very strong super middleweight, so he'll be an extra strong middleweight, you know. But he's got a lot of heart. He's an awkward style, strong, low centre of gravity, hard guy to knock around, you know.
Did you have you worried at all? Because we had you storming out in front, and then he started to come back in the middle rounds.
Well, that's where it is. I mean, I was very relaxed in the dressing room. I was too relaxed. It's hard for me to get up. I need to be worried. I need to go to bed with butterflies in my stomach. I need to be scared. I need a big challenge. Like I said, I need the Nigel Benz. I need the Roy Joneses. I need the Frankie Lyles. I need someone to frighten me, to bring out the best of me, you know. I do have a lot of respect for Cornelius, though. He did fight out of his skin tonight. And in my opinion, he's a future champion. I mean, I beat Chris Pyatt, who was world champion, and Chris Pyatt's not as good as Cornelius Carr. Cornelius Carr could be a world champion if he dedicates himself and keeps up the work.
Well, Ben was sitting at ringside. Any messages for him?
Yeah, I asked him in the dressing room. I said, Nigel, you keep winning, I keep winning, and together we'll have a big payday. I think me and Nigel have been in the biggest fights out there. Roy Jones is not that well known this side of the Atlantic. Myself and Nigel are both very big in America, and we're both very big this side of the Atlantic. In my opinion, Nigel and myself is the biggest super middleweight fight out there. And I think we can make a hell of a lot of money. I don't know what Frank has to say here, but I think it's a big payday there for the two of us as long as we keep winning.
Well, I'll ask him. Is it any nearer?
Yeah, I don't think we're far away from it. Nigel's got a voluntary defence against Malinga in early '96. Get that out of the way, and I think then we get this fight on. Nigel's obviously got to win it, but the fight I'm absolutely confident we can make, providing both guys keep winning. And we'll do that sometime, you know, April, May next year.
Nigel's going to fight in February. Could we see Steve fight in February? The name Pazienza was mentioned earlier.
There's been a few names mentioned, but we obviously want to get this fight out of the way first of all. The name of the game now is to sit down, discuss it with Steve, and see what he wants to do. If he wants to fight before he fights Nigel, no problem with me. And we'll just work out who the opponent's going to be. No problem at all. But we want the big fight. That's the one that everybody wants to see.
I need the challenge. I need someone to scare me, to bring the best out of me.
I'll scare you with the next person.
I need that challenge big time. I really do. I need to dig down deep. Tonight was a bit of a, not going through the emotions, but I felt confident, I felt secure. I need to be worried. I need to get someone to scare me, to bring out the best of me. And there's only a couple of fighters out there who can do that.
Well, listen, it's been a great year for you. Yeah. I know you're going to take the family away and have a rest. Have a good Christmas.
Happy Christmas to all the Sky viewers, and thanks again to Frankie. Well done. And I want to take this opportunity to congratulate good mate of mine, Silky Jones, and a great trainer, Freddie King. Well done. Thank you, Tony, and thank you, Freddie Roach, and Gordy the Heat King. Thanks, guys. I love my wife and children.
Well done, Steve. Thanks.
Real professional, isn't he, Collins? And I think, reading between the lines slightly, Steve is not marking himself too highly on his own performance tonight. The relief writ large, but spare a thought for this man, Cornelius Carr. A few years back we saw Steve Collins come very close and lose in world title fights. Maybe you've got to learn to lose at the top before you can win, and just maybe we've seen Cornelius Carr take a big step forward towards the world class himself tonight. More to come on the show. When we come back we'll get the thoughts of the British middleweight champion Neville Brown and Barry McGuigan here in the studio.